I am just parked, getting out the car. Got about 45 minutes to hang out with y'all and play. Talk grants. Y'all ready? I hope so. I just was sitting here making notes of what I wanted to share with you guys. So I hope you're ready to dive in. If you're not live with us on TikTok yet, where you at? We're waiting on you. You're slow. Come on, girl. Hurry up. You about to miss it. Look for us on the Black Woman in Grants page on TikTok. TikTok livers. I'm going to let TikTok do its thing, let you guys know I'm live. This is my second quick live of the day. I won't be before you long, as I have a call in exactly 45 minutes. And I may be able to log on from my Baperda a little bit early while I talk to y'all from my phone. Come in, say hello. Let me know you can see me and hear me, or you can see the screen, but you can definitely hear me moving around with all my literal baggage. I'm gonna make it into the house. Come in and say hello, hello, hello. If you can hear me, let me know. Welcome. Thank you for following the page. I encourage you to, if you don't already. Y'all let me know if you can hear me. I know I got a lot going on, a lot of moving around. I'm getting here and sat down in a minute. Just make sure you let me know that you can hear me while we're on the phone together, okay? So, let me see. Good evening, Shaniki. Shanika, how are you? Welcome back. All right, y'all gonna hear me breathing hard, walking in the house. Welcome. Okay, so if you're new here, say hey in the chat so I can say hey back. I'm Dr. AJ Austin, winner of over $1 million in grants and grant-funded opportunities. If you're interested. Hello, Ebony. Hello, Tanika. How are you guys? So, I usually would do a lot of engagement type activities with y'all, but today I think I just want to teach. If you're ready to take notes, put teach in the chat while I let myself into my home, into the AC that I'm so blessed to have. Thank you, Jesus. Lord. Okay. I shall teach, and teach I shall. Let me find my notes. So, if you're new here, you don't know this, but I applied for a grant, and this week, Tuesday, so 2 days ago, was supposed to be the decision day. And so I found myself with butterflies in my stomach and wondering who won. Am I one of the winners? And Tuesday comes and Tuesday goes. And I heard nothing from the grant. So trying to stay on the positive side, I hopped on here on TikTok with you guys and was sharing a little bit about my experience in venting. Without saying the name of the grant, I will not. I will share more about my lessons learned. This is not my first time. I have over $500,000 in grants and grant-funded opportunities out there. So these are some lessons learned, not only for me, but for you to take notes as well, because we've been talking about grants that are scams. I don't necessarily think this grant was a scam, but it was scam-y, scam adjacent, scam-like, scam-ish, you know? And so if you notice any of the grants that you apply for, whether you're waiting on a decision yourself or in the future when you apply, these are some red flags to look out for that I chose to ignore in hopes of I'm rooting for this to be a good opportunity. So for me, I applied because it was like a grant funded opportunity, like a program, business training and development program. And at the end of the program, you got $5,000. The $5,000 is cute. I can go make that in my business. You know, I would have took it and gave it back to y'all in the form of scholarships to come join me in the mentorship over at blackwomeningrants.com, which there is a scholarship there, by the way. If you want it, it's yours. I wanted this opportunity for the network. And so as a Christian, we always believe in checking your heart, because the Bible say you have not because you ask not, or when you ask amiss. So it's like, check your heart before you ask God for something. Make sure you ask him for the right reasons. Make sure it's what he wants you to have. And so I was checking my heart, and yeah, I wanted it for the networking opportunities so that I could bring you guys, those of you who mentor with me over at blackwomeningrants.com, into this network. Tell you about it, refer you to it, help you get some grant money from it, etc. So Tuesday comes and goes. I didn't hear anything, but I do what I teach you guys in the Finding Funding ebook that's in the Grant Game Mentorship, which is reach out to the grant, send a follow-up email, and ask what's the status of your application, or kind of where they are in the decision-making process of who won the grant and when the winners would be announced. And so there's a professional way to do that. I sent my email again 2 days ago. Still nothing. But, you know, they say hindsight is 20/20. So looking back, these were parts of the red flags from the beginning. Over a year ago, when I was told to apply for this grant from the person who is the money behind the grant, live in my face, walked up to me and said, I want you to go to my website and apply for this grant for your business. And I did. I had to wait a year to apply for this opportunity, but I did it. And so I'm sharing these red flags because what I noticed, and what some of you guys who here suffers with like anxiety or panic attacks, let me know. This is not something that's talked about heavily in the Black community, especially with Black women. And we deal with so much. A lot of us may deal with anxiety, but we just don't know how to label it. That was me. I didn't really know I had anxiety till I grew up. You feel me? So you don't have to tell your business, but I just want to know if you want to share, if I'm in good company. Let me know if this is a safe space for me to share. I don't want to trigger nobody. I don't want to be TMI and y'all be like, dang. Nope. This is common. It's more frequent than most people will admit. Even if you don't want to admit it, I'm going to share my testimony because I don't know who I can help. So 3 things that I did not know I dealt with until I was like good and grown, as they say, is depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. A lethal trifecta. Okay. And so I noticed on Tuesday when I had butterflies in my stomach, it was triggering anxiety. So I hopped on here with y'all. I vented a little bit, told y'all my experience. And this is what makes what I do here with blackwomeningrants.com so real and raw, because I'm applying for these opportunities as well. And I'm always looking out for y'all for what to bring back. And so I said, well, let me get on and talk to my people. You know, it helps when you have people that are in the same community, same mindset to talk to. So just like your colleagues and coworkers, you can vent about the job together because y'all in that same atmosphere. So jumped on here with you guys, my community, shared that, felt better. But then I thought about it later and I was like, wow, that really triggered some anxiety in me. And I didn't realize that I was having chest pains. My breathing was off, which triggers my bronchitis. So I cough a lot when I'm like stressed. So here I was going through all of the symptoms of a panic attack. Anxiety driven panic attack that triggered bronchitis. So I'm over here just stressed, right? Eyes twitching, can't rest. And it wasn't a whole like, oh, I got rejected, I can't handle it. It was like, no, tell me something, say something. Don't ghost me. Nobody likes to be ghosted or ignored. Nobody likes to wait a year, apply for funding for their business and never hear back. But as I mentioned, this was on brand for this particular grant-funded opportunity because this had been happening over the last year. This was not the first time that I had emailed them, and it took a long time to hear back, so that's something to look out for, especially if it's a grant where they have an email list where they send out like their newsletters weekly or monthly. So if you're on their email list and they never respond other than sharing information with you but never a response back, that's a red flag. So keep in mind, one of my coaches used to always say, how you do anything is how you do everything. The Bible says you will know them by their fruit. So these two quotes are saying the same thing, scripture and quote. And it means, oh, and this is my rendition of it. I always think about this when let's say I meet a guy. Within the first 3 seconds, it don't even matter if it's a guy. Anyone that I meet for the first time, within the first 3 seconds, I can tell who they are and how they are. That's me. And then I have a theory in life that however a relationship, a friendship starts is exactly how it ends. So I say that because when I first found out about this grant, jumped on the email list, sent them an email to ask a question, this was the same way they responded to me over a year ago. No response. So it only makes sense that a year, you agree? Thank you, his daughter. Me too. So it only makes sense that if they did it the first time, of course a year later they do it again. It just happens to be money at the other end this time. So that's a red flag. However they show up. So if you email a grant and you don't hear back, move on. Because that's exactly how they're going to be with your check. Exactly how they're going to be with the decisions. Now, I keep in mind that there are humans behind these grants and grant funded opportunities. This is not coming from a place of bitterness or, bad mouthing anyone. Because again, I'm not calling the grant's name. I'm not naming any of the founders or the board members. That's neither here nor there. This is sticking with the facts, not anything made up or heard, right? So this is my experience. And so another thing I noticed, and not just from this grant opportunity, it's another grant opportunity that's out there. They've actually reached out to me here on TikTok to say, hey, we see what you're doing. Tell your ladies to come apply for our grant. But one thing I noticed is this grant is good at reaching out, but when it's time to announce who won that money, it's crickets. And I'm like, So y'all promote the opportunity. Y'all get people on your email list. You talk about everything but that grant and who won this money. Something ain't right. And what bothers me the most about all of this is these are Black women leading these organizations. And this is not the only time I've experienced this. And so it's near and dear to my heart to share this with you because we're Black women, for-profit small business owners applying for these grant-funded opportunities only to be left in the wind the same way that our non-Black counterparts leave us in the wind when it comes to investing in our business, angels investors, venture capitalists, business loans, etc. And it's like, okay. So it's something to pay attention to. So one thing I wish I could stop doing, it's like, when you break up with an ex, but you still stalk secretly, so you checking their social medias, and you like, let me see if they done posted something. So here I am stalking the grant, because that's what I do in the beginning to see, kind of the flow of the grant, how they announce their winners. I also look up the people who won previously and stalk their pages. These are all good tips now, by the way. Nothing crazy, but it just reminds me of like a broken relationship. So for the last 3 days, I've been stalking their social medias. They still have not announced the winners. No emails. Nothing announced via press. And keep in mind, when these grants come out, they usually have lots of money funded through them. Hello, Claudette. Welcome back. And so they have to make these press releases, and they partner with affiliates to help them get the word out about the applications being out. They post it on their socials. People that are their brand ambassadors posted on their socials. And so it's a huge deal when they get the funding and they're ready to give it out. But when the winner is announced with a grant that's kind of scam adjacent, you don't hear anything. And it's like, something's not right. So I've been checking the website. I've been checking the social media platforms. And if you get to the website or you get to their social medias and they haven't been updated with information about the grant within the last few weeks or since they announced the grant, something ain't right. Something ain't right. So these are red flags because we have a lot of people that jump on here and say, how do you know if a grant is legit? Sometimes it takes you getting in the trenches and actually applying for these opportunities to see how they deliver or not. Because you'll still see them on a lot of these lists of grants that you'll get your hands on. You'll see them promoted on certain people's pages. You'll see some TikTok channels talking about applying. But when you know the real deal behind the scenes because you've dealt with it, man, it's eye-opening, right? So, a tip is to check the websites, check the social media. If it hasn't been updated recently, just kind of mark that as a, okay, I'm watching. Another tip is, like I mentioned, if you're on their email list and they never announce the winner of the grant, or they never make a big deal of the grant since they've announced the applications opening, it's like, I'm watching. I'm taking notes, literally. Another tip is, like I mentioned, when I email them, it takes too long to hear back, or in the past, I have had to email them multiple times. And you know how, like, even in a relationship, I don't know why this is reminding me of a relationship, but like when you send a long paragraph text pouring out your heart and they respond back, yep, you just make you mad. This grant has a pattern of that in our history. So it's been times where I've emailed and asked questions, and this is a red flag too. If you have to email them to ask questions for clarity about their grant because there's not enough information for you to make a decision as to if this is a legit grant, if you should apply for it, that's a red flag. And so if you have to email them for clarity on the grant guidelines, on whether or not you should apply, or if they've announced their winners, or when a decision will be made, but they're slow to respond, or they never really get back to you, it's kind of like you need to just go ahead and chalk it up. And that's what I had to tell myself this Tuesday, because Tuesday was supposed to be the decision. Yesterday was supposed to be day one of the program. So it's 2-3 days later and I still haven't heard nothing. I'm just chalking it up. Because it could be that, okay, they extended the deadline, dates have changed since they first announced. But the fact that nothing has been said, you're left up to your imagination. So you start filling in the blank. And in my case, I'm just like, oh, well, let's move on. You know, maybe they announced it just to the people who won, not to the people who didn't win. Maybe they've already started and just didn't say anything, but they're not saying anything to anyone versus when the opportunity first opened and they wanted everyone to come apply, which makes you wonder, is there a hidden agenda? Now, some grants will string you along, and they'll do that by getting you to apply, getting your personal information, adding you to their email, and all you hear about is what they're doing, what they got going on, other stuff they got to sell, other events they got coming up, and you never hear anything about the grant. So some people do use grants just to build their email list, just to make it a promotional opportunity. I just heard this from another colleague. Some people will start grant foundations, get you to sign up, get your information, get your email, spam you with a lot of emails and promotions just to say that their grant opportunity is competitive because so many people applied. But at the end of the day, they're not announcing the winners, or they're leaving you on red or ghosting you and you never hear anything back. So it hurts my heart, like I said, to know that this is going on from organizations that are founded by Black women. I'm hoping this will get better. Like I said, I just wanted to jump on and chat with you guys. I got about 20 minutes before I have to hop on a call with one of my coaches and just work through some other stuff. But I love the fact that I applied for this grant for fun. And so, you know, it wasn't like oh my gosh, if we don't win this, I don't know. So that's why I tell you guys, when you apply for grants, never come from a desperate financial situation. Never come from a place of, I really hope this works. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. But flip it and put the passion, put the urgency towards your mission as to what you're trying to do. So for me, I had a plan B going in, saying, if I did not get a chance to get this opportunity this go round, here's my plan B. Here's how I'm going to keep moving forward, including extracting those lessons learned, going to make that money myself in my business, continuing to apply for grants that I know I fit and I know I could win and that are higher quality, and just keeping it moving because it's like a stepping stone. It's a growing pain. It's a lesson learned. And so I love how I can take this and turn it into content. And that's what I advise you guys to do as well. Talk about in your grant essays what grants you have applied to, what partnerships you're looking forward to, to show other grants that you have been out here doing the work, and you can control only what you can control. You can't make them pick you. You can't make them give you money. You can't make them respond to your emails. You can't make them be the professional that you are in your business. So in life and friendships and relationship and business, I've learned to stop expecting me from anybody. Just because I would email people who won or lost, just because I would make an update and announce or say something, doesn't mean that everyone is going to run their business like I do. So everyone has a different level of professionalism or lack thereof. And so that's something to keep in mind. So I'm looking over my notes, making sure I shared with you guys everything I wanted to say. One thing I love to do is after a grant's deadline has passed and it's the what we call the decision date. If they miss their decision date and you've heard nothing back, they've never announced, who the winners were that were selected for the opportunity. You can always go to Google and type that grant in and put the word winner or winnings or winner announcement behind it, and something should pop up. Ashley Rankin and Ashley is one of our mentees over at blackwomenandgrants.com. She just won the $10,000 L'Oreal Beauty Inclusive Grant. And we were waiting to hear from them, but they have 40 winners for this grant. Everybody got $10K, so that's $500,000 they're managing. And so you have to be patient, especially when it's multiple winners. But one thing I did was went to Google, typed in the grant, typed in Ashley's name, and found out they already got press releases out. It's already featured on L'Oreal.com and other sites that they're affiliated with. So now we can move forward with some stuff we had planned while we were waiting on the winners to be publicly announced, because it's a protocol to this. And so if you do that for a grant, but nothing pops up since they've made the announcement that the grant is available, that's a red flag. And so I'm sharing these red flags because stuff like this and all of these signs, I just went through like 5 red flags. The website not being updated recently, the social media is not being updated. You're not hearing anything via email. They're only just talking about everything but the grant. They've never announced the winners. If you have to email them multiple times, but they never say anything back, or it takes them long to get back with you. If you have to email them from the beginning to get clarity on their grant deadlines or guidelines. If they miss their own decision date and they never announce the winners, or nothing shows up on the interwebs. These are 5 red flags that could potentially trigger you to be like, see, that's why I don't never apply, because I don't never win, and they don't never this, and it can formulate a story in your head that gives you the opinion that grants don't work, but they do. Now, I've personally won over $1 million in grants and grant-funded opportunities in my personal and professional life, so I know grants work. I know there are organizations that are on top of their stuff. They're professional and they get your money. They give you decisions whether you win or lose. They give you feedback if you would like. So there's some really good grant opportunities out there. I wanted to share my experience from an expert standpoint, because if I was applying for this grant for the first time and this is how it happened, I would give up. But because this is not my first rodeo, I've had this happen. I've had grants taken away. I've been told you won first place. Oops, our bad. You won second place. And my MacBook was taken away. And I've been told by an opportunity that was church affiliated, you've been selected. Oh, our bad. No, you haven't. Stay at home. I have been told, hey, we're about to send you your grant check. Oops, my bad. We sent your email to the wrong person. This actually wasn't even meant for you. And so I've been paid hush money not to talk about situations like this. But when I notice it's triggering physical reactions, anxiety, panic, depression, and asthma, bronchitis, coughing, trouble breathing, I'm like, I wonder how many other people are dealing with this in silence. And so I'm really believing God that something will happen to help this industry become more professionally regulated, as far as there's a protocol you must follow in order to be able to, announce that you have a grant or benefit from adding people to your email list or to your network without actually delivering on some of the promise that you put out there.
So their promise is what they have in writing on their site and in their rules and regulations. If they say their decision date is this date, or winners will be announced this date, or expect to hear from us by this date, and they don't do it, that's a broken promise. And so, however things start out, like even if they were to email me at the top of next week, I would still have to pray about that opportunity moving forward, because again, how you do anything is how you do everything. You will know them by their fruit. It happened once. It will show up in another way again, because how anything starts is how it ends. So I share this with you guys as just something to watch out for. While this opportunity and others may not be scams, these are some scam adjacent, scammy-ish types of red flags to watch out for, so that you don't find yourself triggered, wanting to give up, wondering if it's just you. It's not just you. People just handle it different ways. And I'm tired of being silent about it. So I was like, I'm going to talk myself through this one, because if not, I'm going to sit and play it over and over in my head. And then my emails become, first of all, y'all should, and I don't want to burn no bridges. So thank y'all for listening. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. I saw y'all were talking to me in the chat. If you're new here, welcome. Glad you caught us when we having a whole family roundtable discussion about grants, because I always share the positive with you guys. And then I also share my lessons learned. And so this is just one of the things that has come to mind recently that I needed to share with you guys, along with some other stuff I got coming up on some future lives. But this was a quick pop-up before I jump on a call with my coach in about 10 minutes. So if you got questions, now's the time to put it. Over at blackwomenandgrants.com, we have a whole workshop that I've done talking through the red flags of a scam, actual grant scams, to notice before you apply for a grant. From the time you hear about it, to how you go about doing your research on it, to the red flags that are going to be telltale signs from the beginning that it's not worth you investing your time, so that you don't have to get to this point and then be like, man, I knew it. Because we do have ladies in our mentorship over at blackwomenandgrants.com that have been scammed, and it involved them losing some money. And so I don't want you to have to go through that. And I've had conversations with these ladies to see, what were the red flags? Because the red flags are always there. We just choose to ignore it because we want it to work. And that's what they told me. I was desperate. I really wanted this to work. I wanted it to be easier than I thought. I wanted it to be that simple. I wanted to believe that this was my moment to win some extra funding, and it wasn't. It was their moment to lose some funds out of their bank account. So blackwomenandgrants.com is where to get mentorship. For $97, you can come join us for a full year, because we do have a scholarship fund that I have built. And so for those of you who are unable to pay the whole $997 for the year, you can come hang out for $97, and we got your back on the other end. So I share that because it's continuing to allow me to grow this platform here on Black Women in Grants. I know we have 60,000 plus of y'all here on the TikTok page. We have over 300 of you in our mentorship over at blackwomenandgrants.com getting help applying for grants. Some of our mentees are here. Hey, grant gamers, I see y'all. Claudette says, your videos I have been studying are amazing, but a lot of information, note-taking is a must. It is a must. Claudette, are you in the mentorship? Let me know. I know you joined us recently here on Black Women in Grants, but I can't remember if you joined. Let me know. Just remind me. It's 300 plus of y'all, so forgive me, okay? But some of the videos there include the 250 videos that I've been right here with you guys on TikTok Live recording every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. for the last year plus. And so we have a TikTok replay playlist with all of those TikToks for you to listen to and study. And yes, it's a lot of information that's going to help shave some time off, help you avoid some triggers and some heartbreak, get out your feelings, and move on and actually go win funding that is available to you, because it's yours. And what people say, I don't think that's in the Bible, but what God has for you is for you. Or the Bible do say what God has put together, let no man put asunder. So I guess that's the same thing. What God has for you is for you. Iris says, I'm currently applying for Entrepreneur World Cup grant. Have you heard of them? No, I haven't heard of them. That sounds like a big opportunity. We stay away from those. We win micro grants because they're easier. And that stuff like that is like voting required and all that, all those types of grants. We don't apply for those. They tend to be a waste of time, and it's getting to the scam territory of they just want to add you to their email list. But I don't know about that grant specifically, but it sounds like one of the bigger ones that we shy away from. His daughter says, thanks. This is very informative. You're very welcome. What questions can I answer for you guys? I got 4 minutes. Am I looking at the clock right? Oh, it's 6:45. My bad. I got 15 minutes. I was looking. I ain't got my glasses on. I sure thought there was time to go. Okay, so I got a little extra time. So if you have questions or you got any ahas and want to tell me what you learned from today, what your takeaway is, now is the time. If you're one of our mentees over at blackwomeningrants.com and you got a question about the program, any of the videos you've watched or listened to, if you're reading the book, Finding Funding, and you got questions about any of the information you've read, or if you're currently applying for a grant and you're stuck on a question for how to answer it, now is the time to put that in the chat and let me know you need my help. Now that I know we got about 10 extra minutes on the clock, I need to find me a pair of glasses to throw on here. Hold on. I've been talking and not reading much. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat now. Did you learn anything? Did this help you? Let me know. Excuse me. You said please check out videos before you apply. Which ones? Excuse me. Which videos are you talking about, Claudette? Let me know. My website is blackwomeningrants.com. And Claudette, which videos are you talking about? Check before you apply. Let me know so I can make sure I understand what you're saying back. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure you follow this page so that you can get notifications and invitations to come join us again. I usually am on here a little bit longer, have more time to hang out with y'all, but today has been booked and busy, honey. I was on here live with y'all early this morning having coffee. Had to jump off, go to an appointment that was ultimately canceled and wasted my time, so I could have been here longer, but here we are today. So yeah, I got like 10 minutes to hang out now. So again, if you have questions, if you want to come join us in the mentorship, blackwomeningrants.com is the website. We do have a scholarship available there for the $97. One-time payment, year-long access. You get lists of grants delivered to you. Me being on TikTok Live with you guys Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, plus pop-ups like this is a feature of the program for you to come get some live mentorship from me. If you have specific questions or need help with certain information, I'm here and happy to help. There's so many other bonuses and goodies in the mentorship, and the fact that you guys are getting like the good side of my lessons learned. So keep that in mind. Are there any questions? Let me see. Let's end on a high note. I didn't get to ask them this earlier today on our live, but imagine that the next grant you apply to, you win it. What will a grant allow you to say no to? There was a grant called the No Grant by Pure Leaf, the tea company. They sell them $2 bottles of tea in Walmart. And that was one of their questions. And I love that question because it really made me think, what could winning a grant for whatever amount I need it for allow me to say no to? And for me, I could say no to thinking, do I need to go get a part-time job? I can say no to, am I going to have to get back on food stamps? I can say no to, am I going to be able to pay my bills this month, or am I going to be homeless again? I can say no to being unable to pay business expenses. What would winning a grant allow you to say no to? Maybe you can say no to working overtime shifts and you can really focus on your business. We're going to talk about more about this in a future live, but I just been thinking about that question lately. Like, what does winning a grant really help us as Black women, for-profit, small business owners be able to say no to? We know what it'll be able to help us do, which is probably why this opportunity that fell through just hit home for me, because it was bigger than just the check, but it was what it will represent. It would allow me to say no to having to find non-white counterparts to give us funding, because we could have won it from a Black woman in her crew. You see what I'm saying? So thinking through these types of opportunities, it's like, this is your why and your mission behind if you're going to really show up and apply for these grant opportunities and see it through. You're like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep applying because I want to be able to say no to blank. Who wants to put that in the chat real quick, and let me see who's first so we can see who going to win this round. And then I'll wrap up unless y'all have more questions. But if you've been here and you've been listening, we're simply just answering the question, what would winning a grant today for your Black woman-owned for-profit small business allow you to say no to? Think about that and put it in the chat. And the first person to put it is the winner. Does anybody here need a grant? Because I don't see any answers. If you're putting anything, maybe TikTok's not letting me see it. Only got 5 minutes, y'all, so the quicker the better. If you're new here, you can say, hey, Dr. AJ. I'm Dr. AJ Austin, creator of this space and blackwomeningrants.com, our mentorship where there's a scholarship for you to come learn more about grants, get some accountability, support, hand-holding, learn from my lessons, and start winning this shmoney, because you get to avoid all this drama. Hopefully. Okay. So either TikTok ain't showing y'all. Oh, okay. There we go. Thank you, Yellow Rose. I was about to give up, girl. You saved me. Yellow Rose says, my no would be not having to work on the weekend to fund my small business. I love that. And, you know, that's helpful to us to know here at Black Women in Grants, because when we go, talk to people about what we do, we're often asked, and y'all will get asked this too on grant applications, what our social impact is, meaning what are we doing in our business that benefits our community? You guys are our community. And then they say, well, how do you measure your social impact? So me being here with you guys Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the last year plus, 250 episodes right here on TikTok, just talking about grants as a Black woman. My alarm going off. As a Black woman, oops, I put snooze instead of, okay, I'm going to dismiss it. There we go. So, just being here with you guys, first of all, with 67,000 of y'all here on the page, 300 of you guys here in the mentorship, and hundreds of y'all join me throughout the week when I'm live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And they say, how do you measure if it's working? Those numbers alone tells me that it's working. But then to hear that what I share with you guys, if it got you one step closer to not having to work on the weekends and you can fund your business, that's measurement. That's social impact. So thank you for sharing that. On that note, that's all I got. Thank y'all for being here, for listening, for letting me teach and train. Versus I didn't have a whole lot of time to interact today. But if you want more interaction, head over to blackwomeningrants.com. Let me know before I go, did this help you to hear my experience as the leader of this movement of Black Women in Grants, having like a real life, down to earth, human experience applying for these fundings. And you can see how it's not as simple as when you reach a certain level, you automatically get funded. No, you still deal with the mess, child. So, like I said, even if they reached out to me at this point, I know that I would have to pray about it because I would go in with an attitude right off the bat. Just based on this. And I couldn't change nothing about it but what I do. So that's what I keep in mind. You control what you can control. And one thing I can control is going out and finding another grant to put in their place. Amen. Hello, Jen Guard. Thank you for joining. I'm literally wrapping up this live as we speak. Thank y'all for hanging out. Thank you for allowing me to share. This is a safe space we've created here. Make sure you follow this page. Turn your notifications on so you know when we go live, you get those invitations. And whoever that blessed person is tonight that is claiming her grant scholarship to come join us in the mentorship over at blackwomeningrants.com. I'll see you soon. Let me hop on with my coach because I know she's waiting. Y'all have a phenomenal rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless. Bye, future grant winners.